It's exactly 8 o'clock. A very good morning, and thank you so much for keeping it right here on CTV. This is Sunrise at Sea. My name is Priva Elibaz, and of course, yeah, the show continues, and we are in our last segment of our show, which is our views. And today we're going to be speaking a very interesting topic. Yes, pretty interesting because like Shivan always says on our views, we always talk about the issues that, of course, affect us in our daily lives, but somehow we don't even think they're actually going on. So today, the topic that we're going to be looking at is parental alienation. And before I actually get into the topic and explaining it and giving you the details, allow me to introduce the ladies that are joining me in studio today. And we have Agi Uwase and Shivan Auma. Hey.
Good morning.
Hi. How are you?
Hi.
It's a very, chilly morning. It's very cold, but I hope this conversation, will warm you guys up a little bit and give us more
It's been chilly
insight.
for the last 3 days. Every morning it's chilly and then it drizzles a little and then it's sunny in the afternoon. Very confusing weather.
You're over it.
I'm over it.
Shivan?
This weather is mixed. It's making my hormones very imbalanced.
Oh, wow.
It's like it's cold. It's at least it's not snowing. So
Hormonal imbalance. You mentioned hormonal imbalance yesterday in our
Yesterday
views. Was it yesterday? Yes.
Yes.
yesterday it was called for because we were discussing a very important topic. Today it's just something I'm sliding under the rug.
You may need to see your gynecologist after we're done with the show. So ladies, today we're going to be looking at parental alienation. And basically you might have experienced this, not of course like directly, but maybe you have friends who have been, telling you or coming to you and saying, you know what, like I never had a relationship with my parents. Maybe it could be a father, it could be a mother, but they cannot give you the real reason as to why they, they don't have a relationship with the parents. Because normally it starts with one parent trying to influence your emotions when it comes to your relationship with the other parent. Now, basically, parental alienation occurs when a child refuses to have a relationship with a parent due to manipulation. It could be in a form of conveying exaggerated or false information by the other parent. Like your parent telling you, like, oh no, he doesn't love you, or he doesn't, call you most times. And I know this has manifested so much, especially with single moms. They always try to keep their kids away from their fathers, even when the fathers try to put in, the time and the effort to make sure they do communicate with their parents. But the situation often arises during a divorce or custody battle, yes, but it can even happen in fact in families, like you're staying in the same household, your parents are there, both of them are there, but somehow you have a strained relationship with your mother or your father, and you don't have you have a better relationship with the other parent. So one would wonder why. What is that person? Which kind of person would actually, try to alienate their child from, having a good relationship with the other parent? Well, this experience, of course, is deeply unsettling, but it's actually common among narcissistic parents. We've always talked about narcissism and all that, but yes, it is common in narcissistic parents and or even emotionally unstable. Let me put it that way. Some parents are really emotionally unstable. We always talk about emotions, but how many of us actually know how to keep our emotions in check, even in our adulthood? Yes, so emotionally unstable parents, partners always find themselves in this predicament of having to involve their kids in parental alienation. So ladies, let's talk about the why. Let's start with why. Why does this happen to begin with?
Well, it happens for different reasons, but there's one thing that you mentioned earlier, and I think it's a very big issue. Usually, people have children with people for different reasons.
Yep.
But it could so happen that you get pregnant. Maybe you had no intentions of being pregnant or having a child with this person. Yesterday we were talking about rebound relationships, and Shivan said that it could actually happen that eventually one of you, not one of you, but the woman could get pregnant, and then now there's a child in the picture that neither of you wanted, or maybe one person selfishly wanted. Yeah. And maybe just got off their contraception. So yeah, and you find now we have a child and we are not on good terms, we are loggerheads, or maybe one person may not actually be really interested in, let me put it this way, you find like the man is not really interested in the woman. And so when the relationship is done, there's a lot of bitterness. Yeah, there's a child involved, but the other person that has been rejected definitely is going to be bitter. So it comes from the bitterness. I mean, the other party could actually accept to be fully involved in their child's life and take care of them, could be financially, you know, and even be available emotionally even as they are growing up.
Yeah.
But it so happens because I am so bitter, I actually don't want my child to ever get to know that you're a good person. So I'm trying to pit your child against you for that reason. You mentioned that. And yeah, it comes from bitterness. It comes from the fact, I think yesterday I was seeing on the Shade Room again, I mean, there's always a lot of drama going on. This lady who was Fabulous's stepdaughter that we always talk about, I forget her name.
Taina.
Yes, Taina.
Yes.
Because Fabulous posted, you know, a picture of his daughter on the birthday, and you know, singing praises and saying all these beautiful things. And then Taina comes in the comment section and she says, you're just doing this because it's her birthday, you're never fully present, you're never available, you're only available for your sons that you can manipulate. Yeah. So parental alienation, so you can see that there's always a way the other part of the family is trying to pit the child against the father. Maybe there are reasons why the child is absent in the father, the father is absent in the child's life. And then again, sometimes some people just go on social media and try to decry, like they try to play victim. Yeah, but we never know the two sides of the story. We always know one until maybe the other party chooses to also come out and say, you know what, this is what is happening. Or maybe the parent is a narcissist. The case of Kanye West and Kim Kardashian. Sometimes you have to protect your children from a narcissist. And, you know, being bipolar, you don't wake up and, you know, call it upon yourself or want it upon yourself, but you can go to therapy, you can do something so that you can stay in the right mindset to help your children.
Yeah.
But if you're having episodes today ranting on social media today and the other day, it can so happen that as a mother, maybe you might wake up and you want to protect your child, because I mean, they could wake up someday and have to see all these things on social media. So you maybe want to explain to them and say, this is what is happening. So yeah, different reasons, but most importantly, I would think that it stems from bitterness and, you know, failed relationships.
Interesting. Yes, Siobhan.
Parental alienation, when Agi was speaking, I realized that yes, to some extent, another parent or someone who is trying to alienate their child from the other party could actually do it when it's coming from a good place. Like if maybe the other partner has showed, you know, maybe signs of being violent, or if he's a sexual abuser, or, you know, if he's, you know, a narcissist, like what Agi mentioned. However, on the other case, you know, like how in high school would say so and so wants cheap popularity. So I would say again, the reason as to why some parents take part in this whole situation is for cheap popularity. Like, why are you trying to persuade your child to like you? That alone should be an issue, because then that means there's something wrong with you. A child that you brought into this world should just naturally love you. Why are you trying to buy their love? That means you're not doing right as a parent. And why are you doing it at the expense of turning the child against the other parent?
Yes.
So it also takes me back to cases of like when you have like disciplinary cases at home, and you know, as parents you've agreed, Siobhan did this, you're taking away her gadgets.
Yes.
Then you as a mom, you go behind daddy's back and you're giving Siobhan the phone while he's away trying to buy
the
favor.
love.
Why? Already that is a red flag. You're showing your child that mommy will say this, daddy will say this, but mommy will come back to what I was always saying. So you're not showing a united front.
Yes.
So when it comes to parental alienation, one, cheap popularity. Another reason why it happens is, I guess some people are just not ready for a relationship, because unless the other person that you're trying to defame or that you know, whose reputation you're trying to spoil in front of your child's eyes is either an abuser or a sexual predator, why wouldn't you allow your child be the judge of the other parent's character? Every child deserves to have a father and a mother. As long as they're alive, they actually deserve to know. It is not up to you to decide as a parent. So give your child a chance to learn the other parent. Let them see for themselves that, hey, mommy is stingy.
Well, I would have to say parental alienation happens as a result of parents wanting to have that sort of control. I think I was Wasa yesterday still talking about rebound relationships, and you know, we talked about the illusion of control and was it yesterday or the other day? Could
Yesterday.
be. Yes, illusion of control. I believe some parents want to have, want to show the other parent like, okay, fine, we've broken up and all the things, and yes, you're going to go on with your life, but I'll show you who has the control, who has the final say. So sometimes parents forget that they have to put the best interest of a child, up front before they can bring in their emotions. So, the illusion of, having control and showing the other person like, hey, who has the power also, plays a role into how, parents can start, pushing, how would I call it? Not pushing, but frustrating the relationship a child has with the other parent. But I also feel like it also stems from the fact that sometimes, especially during divorce, the emotions that go, with divorce. Let me not talk about, none of us have gone through divorce, but maybe we've experienced a breakup, and we know how emotional that can be. So sometimes parents rely on kids for that emotional support. I think back in the day we did talk about, was it emotional incest? Yes,
Yeah,
it was emotional incest, where parents tend to turn to their kids for the emotional support and all that, when in actual sense they don't realize that what they're pushing onto their kids is something that is extremely harmful. And yes, the other things you guys talked about, them jealous, revenge, and all that and all that. But let's talk about how you can prevent parental alienation after divorce, because you realize that you can still divorce someone and still move on with your life. I was watching an episode of Teen Mom on MTV, and there was this particular couple. Yes, they had a child together. They decided to break up, but then they have like the best healthy co-parenting relationship that has ever existed, because this gentleman, the second child he had some sort of health complications and all that, but he was able to come to the mother of his first child and have this candid discussion and talk about the fact that I'm going through these things and I may need help with you taking care of our child as I take the other one to hospital. And there's like a good understanding and a healthy understanding. But then how do you prevent it, especially now that we figured out that it normally happens, normally not all the time, but normally happens, especially after events like a divorce or parents just separating?
Sitting down and coming to an understanding and agreeing that bringing up a child, first of all, is not a competition. Because I don't know where parents get, especially divorced parents, get the idea that bringing up a child is a competition, because one is trying to outprove the other. The other one buys expensive shoes, may I bring expensive jewelry. So you're even confusing the child. And I've seen this very many times in very many homes. But one coming together and realizing that bringing up a child is not a competition. And unfortunately, it's not about you, it's about the child. So the child needs a motherly touch and needs a fatherly touch. That is why we have conversations such as what people suffer when they either have absent fathers or absent mothers. Wouldn't be talking about this if sometimes during divorce arrangement, parents actually sat down and thought and said, this is not about me. Yes, I have disagreements with the father of my child, but this is about my child. We are going to put our differences aside and raise this child together. For me, I think that is the mature thing to do. That's one. Then secondly, ask yourself as a parent, if you want to catch parental alienation in its early stages. Also, you should be able to notice that your partner is controlling. Usually partners who are controlling also usually control their children. Like, in a way, they are controlling. You see it as very bougie, but these are actually things that they can transfer onto your children. So also another thing would be taking part in the decision making when it comes to your children's activities or social life. Do not alienate the other parent because they're out of the picture to things such as who should the person date, where should be the venue for their wedding, or something such as beautiful as maybe they're being taken out to prom. I mean, both parents should come together and participate so that one parent is not alienated. So in that way, you're both involved in all the beautiful things of your child.
Absolutely. Yes.
For me, I would say, and I'm actually supplementing on what Siobhan has said, first of all, put the child's best interests at heart, because at the end of the day, you will always have conflict with the parent of your child, but are you putting your child's interests as the first thing on the agenda or on the menu? Leave alone the bitterness, leave alone the anger and all that. And that's why I would think that in the case of divorce or, those very hard separations, parents need to seek therapy, if you can. Or actually you can go to counselors so that you can figure out if you cannot do it on your own, because there are people who are so bitter or they're so angry at each other. They hate or detest each other, that they cannot sit on a round table, even as parents, when a child is involved, and try to forge a way forward, moving forward. How can we co-parent? Because this child is going to be there until maybe God decides to call them. So this is a situation that you're going to live with for the rest of your life. And looking at the statistics of how many children have grown up broken because of, growing up in broken families, seeing, your father at loggerheads with your mother. I think it's very important that parents out there, seeing the consequences of children who grow up in broken families. The other day there was a case, those cases are always there, of people, mass shootings, not just even mass shootings, it could be so many cases of murder and suicide, and some of them stem from traumas that these children have had all their eternity, seeing their parents, fighting, seeing their parents not putting their best interests at heart, even when they have found a chance this one time to actually see the alienated parent, there's always a conflict. You cannot sit and have a meal. You cannot sit and even have a conversation. It's always, a tug of war of sorts. So yeah, children are broken, children are damaged, I must say. And parents need to look at some of these things and say, I wouldn't want that for my child. I can say, straight in camera, I would never want that for my child. Even if a relationship ever failed between me and their father, I would definitely want my child to grow up knowing that I have a cordial relationship with their father. Put the differences aside. Sometimes, yes, we hold on to our emotions so much, but they're not helping you in any way. They're only helping you be, a bitter person, and it affects your child in one way or another. Yeah. So preventing, seek therapy first of all if you're going through divorce. Some people just sign papers and they're out of the relationship, but that's not enough. You have wounds that need to be healed. Those inner wounds, in church they talk about inner wounds, and we downplay them and disregard them. Those things are actually real. So as individuals, parents, as individuals, you need to work on yourself. Also sit down and evaluate yourself. See how you can create a good relationship with the other parent, so that you don't find yourself in a situation where you're speaking very ill of them. One thing that well, yes, you can try and alienate a child from their father or from their mother by speaking all these terrible things about them. Of course, you can only do that when the child is young, when they cannot see it, and you bias them from there. But trust me, as they grow older, I feel like they start to notice some of these things, and they'll notice that maybe you're trying to alienate them from their mother or from their father. So how will they look at you then? Think about the future later on, when they actually get to find out that their parent was not as bad as you say they were. Yeah. So how will they look at you? Eventually
we shall get into that part of that particular thinking of a discussion, and ask whether parental alienation actually backfires, because it could backfire, or sometimes the kids just give
up on all of you.
Yeah, not even give up on all of you, but they continue growing in that same spirit cycle of, yes, my father doesn't like me, or my mother doesn't like me, and I have no intention of fixing that relationship. Still, I'll give an example. I was watching, I normally watch The Real Housewives of Atlanta, and Kenya Moore, she never had a good relationship with the mom, but I can tell you, she had a good relationship with her dad, but at least for her, that the information that she was given growing up was that the mom wanted nothing to do with her. The sad part is that she would want to have a conversation, or even, establish a relationship with the mother, but it just doesn't happen. So I'm just going to give you a few types of parental alienation that have been at least identified by psychologists. The number one is the mild parental alienation. Now, a child may resist visits with the other parent, but then enjoy their time when they are alone with mom and dad and away from their alienated parent. Then we have the moderate parental alienation, where these kids resist time with the alienated parent and remain resentful during their time together. Have you ever seen any situation where a parent is going to drop off their kids to the other parent, and like the kid is crying, like, why are you bringing me here? Like, I actually have a friend of mine, of course I'm not going to say his name, his son, the relationship with the mom and all that, it's not like the best. He doesn't, the child himself, as young as he is, he doesn't want to have a relationship with the mom because
of what they have been told?
Yes, of what they've been told, and what I think now that the person is actually seeing. Because you realize also, when you keep saying that parent doesn't love you, that parent doesn't love you, some of them eventually start looking the part.
Yes.
You understand, like you start looking the part, you start looking
Yeah.
bad, you start looking like the bad one. Then we have the severe parental alienation. Now here, children not only resist time with the other parent, but they also actively run away or otherwise act fearfully to not be around that particular parent. And some of the signs can be, the child's lack of guilty feelings, for rejecting the targeted parent. Like I don't even feel any emotions of, I'm guilty that I don't have a relationship with you, like I'm okay with it. Then when asked, of course, the child always gives irrational reasons for the criticism of the targeted parent. There's always never sound reasoning behind, why you don't have a relationship with, your other parent. Then the child also paints the parents in black and white. One parent can do no wrong, while the other second parent, everything he does or she does is extremely horrible. Then we have kids who are severely alienated have a knee-jerk defensiveness of everything about the favored parent. I'll always defend my mom. I'll always defend my father. I see you talking about your daddy all the time, daddy all the time. And I wonder, like you never mentioned mom.
I do. I actually do. It's just that my mom doesn't really stay here. I've stayed more with my father. So it doesn't mean I don't have a relationship with her. Absolutely I do. And it's beautiful. I talk about her all the time. I keep telling her that when I grow up, I want to be like her, but, shaped like daddy. Yes. Because I cannot marry a woman either way. So
I know. Yes, but that is an extremely important part of your life. I mean, I've seen your relationship with him. I've been with you guys for a couple of minutes, and I see the relationship between you and your dad. It's really something that is admirable. Then there's some of the signs of a severely alienated child is that they spread the child's animosity towards the targeted parents, extended family, or friends. Like it doesn't just stop with the parent, but it goes even beyond that. Then let's now talk about the signs of parental alienation. We're going to go through the signs, and as I highlight them, feel free to chime in and give some of your remarks. Number one is bad mouthing. Alienating parent uses toxic verbal and non-verbal communications that convey to the child that the targeted parent is unloving, unsafe, and unavailable. Existing flaws are exaggerated, and non-existing existent flaws can be manufactured. Even the things that you're not doing, they'll throw them onto you. Then there's limiting contact. The alienating parent violates parenting plans and or takes advantage of the ambiguity. Let me not even say that word. It's ambiguous, but I'm not going to put it in that way. So I'm going to say vague. Yes, vague is the best word. Takes advantage of the vagueness in the plan to maximize time with the child. Now, the targeted parent has fewer opportunities to counter the toxic message, leading to the alienation of the child. Now the child acclimates to spending less time with the targeted parent. Like, it's okay for me not to spend time with you. Like, I'm okay with it. I'm fine with that. I mean, we have friends or we have people we know who don't see their parents, not because of other factors that can be understandable, but because they just don't want to have a relationship with them.
I don't know if I can just cut in a bit. You mentioned that, and it reminded me of a movie I watched, and this particular scene had a dad was supposed to come and pick the daughter and take her out on a date. Now, because the mom was continuously, brainwashing the child and telling her your father doesn't care about you. So this one time he was late. And the mom, before even, the dad could, give his reasons as to why he was late, by the time he came, he found that the daughter did not even want to see his face, because the mom was like, you see, he doesn't value your time, he's late, he's an hour late, and yet his story was reasonable. So in actually some cases we don't see it, but some children are forced to believe that their parents do not love them because of situations such as that. I mean, I've been waiting for you, you have not picked me, and now my mom is brainwashing me. So what do you expect when you come home?
It actually makes sense because, as children, we did talk about children and their innocence some time back. And yes, we come into this world, how would I call it, a bare canvas. Like, you come here and everything that, is written is what you're just getting
Fed
in your,
with.
it's what you're fed with. It's what, you grow up to, how would I call it? Grow up to do.
Yeah.
Yes, then we have a bit of interfering with communication. The alienating parent demands constant access to the child when the child is with the targeted parent, but does not reciprocate when the child is with him or her. When it comes to sharing custody, let's say maybe you will pick the child on Wednesdays or Thursdays or for the weekend, but even when you've taken that person, so when you've taken the child, I'm constantly, on your heels, bring them back, when are they coming, time, all that and all that. I remember back in the day when I was still engaging in legal activity, yes, we did handle a case of a certain lady who was married, not married per se, but had 2 kids with this foreigner. And when it came to designating the time and, you know, the days that the father could take and the mom could take, there's a lot of friction. Because the mom kept saying, of course, the mom was the one who was staying with the kids, but she kept saying, I cannot trust him with the kids. I cannot trust him with the kids. And they kept saying, but listen, he is their father and he hasn't done anything to harm them. And the reason she was advancing was that no, the man is interested in so many women. You know, they will send him nude videos and nude pictures so that, you know, the kids could see that. I mean, it's a valid reason, but I don't think any sensible parent would put their kids in a position, yes, where they have to, you know, encounter such graphic content on anyone's phone. Yeah. So yeah,
it's and also besides that, the thing of visiting, sometimes there are some children, of course, who don't live with the other parent, the alienated parent. So when it's time for them to go visit the parent, they say, I don't want to go. And when you ask them, why don't you like visiting your dad? They have no valid reason. Zero. They just have that embedded hatred in them for their other parent, that the other parent has instilled in them because of how they talk about them. You know, you're already instilling fear in them of what could happen if they go visit their parent, and yet you're not even sure that's what is going to happen.
Yes, I think there's also the bit of withdrawal of love. Alienating parents make their approval of paramount importance to the child, so much that the child would do anything to avoid the loss of love that is experienced when the child has disappointed or angered that parent. Now, typically what angers and hurts the alienating parent most is the child's love and affection for the targeted parent. It's not even, I don't even think it's even always about the other parent. It's more of like, no, you're going to share this love to someone that I hate. You're going to give this love to someone that I totally disregard when it comes to.
But if it's not being inhumane, actually someone who's like that, I would say you're not even fit to be a parent. But there's so many children who have grown up, you know, craving the love of their fathers and their mothers that are absent in their lives. So if you have a chance that even when you're not together with this other parent, your child is still being loved the same and being taken care of by the other parent. So why would that really anger you? I would never understand.
You've seen parents kill other parents, kids' parents, out of, you know, things like And
that is what I was going to mention. That one conscious decision I made. No, it's okay. One conscious decision I actually made is to make sure, regardless of who I decide to date, that if tomorrow I woke up and I did not want to see his face, at least I wouldn't be crazy enough to either kill him or make the children we have had feel a certain type of way about him, because I feel like that is the highest level of immaturity. Like, how is it that you and this person were once lovey-dovey, you guys slept together, shared the same toothbrush, probably, now all of a sudden you cannot sit on the same bed, put your feelings aside, and bring a child up in this world? Like, that is very selfish of certain people, honestly.
No, those people need therapy or, you know, a psychiatrist, something that could help
depending
them.
On the kind of partner that is involved in the picture.
Oh yeah, but if in your heart of hearts you know for sure that your partner, they're not your partner anymore, well, your baby daddy, your baby mama is actually a good person and they really have your child's best interests at heart, why would you want to create some kind of hatred in your child against them?
You've had parents say, my child is my everything.
Yes.
Oh yeah. You've had those type of parents. Yes. Because maybe also it could be a matter of, you know, where you grew up from, you know, your surrounding environment and, you know, what goes into that. If you grew up with an overprotective parent, yes, you grew up with an overprotective, it can translate into that. I remember also still watching some documentary still on ID. And this child was not too close to the mom by will or anything like that, but it's like the mom was that kind of parent, my life, my everything, to the point that, you know, she never had any relationships with friendships outside of her home. She was never allowed to get out, to the point where the mom intentionally put her in hospital. Imagine, like, you know, you take your child to a hospital and you're saying you know they've already diagnosed them with a specific disease and you want treatment for that particular disease. So that's what happened. She took the child to the hospital and the child was given medicine even when she's not sick. So as a result, she was confined home for so many years up until she was 18, and she was like, no, I'm over this. This is crazy. I can walk, I can talk, I can eat, because it was too extreme that the mother, out of so much love and wanting to have the child
Was that
around.
love? Is that love? Me, I think that's a psychopath. That is not love.
This is what even the parents
That
were
is
trying
not
to,
love.
the sisters and everyone was trying to, to kind of explain, like, okay, growing up, she did not receive so much love from our parents. So as a result, she felt like she needs to translate that same type of love to, someone that they can control and, be, like basically make decisions for. Of course, it ended in a terrible way because the child ended up killing the mom. Yes, sadly.
Tragic.
Sadly, it was very
Yeah.
tragic. She ended up killing the mother because of, feeling too, how would I call it? Overwhelmed. She was overwhelmed. She was like, this is not love. What is this? What are you
That
doing?
is not love, honestly. Love that you cannot set your child free to go and create relationships, meaningful friendships, your child to go to school. Love that you have to confine your child in a house and diagnose them and be on treatment for how many years?
So many years. From
Just
sometimes
Just
like
because
6
they can
years.
be around you,
just
tell me
even
that is not
diagnose.
psychopath behavior?
We have psychopathic parents who even go ahead in their children's marital homes. They go ahead to shop saucepans. Mothers.
Oh yeah, there's that
Yes,
too.
because you're trying to show your child love and alienating them from the other parent, but your love is even becoming toxic.
Toxic, yeah.
Your child has become your everything, and now you're moving into your son's home, and you're shopping for your daughter-in-law saucepans and spices, to use name.
Please, me, I don't want that kind of love.
And it was so bad. Still talking about the story, it was so bad because the father was alienated. If anything, the father believed that the child died at the age of 5 because they were staying in different states in the US. So imagine I'm staying in Uganda and someone else is staying in Kenya, and they just call and they tell you, no, your child has passed away, and that's it. So several years later, later, he realizes, the child is still alive. He's trying to, get into contact with the child because he was even, stopped from coming for the burial in courts, of course. And, getting to sit down with the daughter and understand what exactly happened, he was very heartbroken because as a parent, he said, this is not what I anticipated. I wanted to be present for my, my child.
Yeah.
Brings
Now
me-
that child,
Yes.
you were still saying something.
No, go.
That
go.
child, trust me, has to go through sessions of therapy for her to get, her feet back onto the ground and, get into the world and be a normal human being, because that is already in her mind. That has already, I don't know how some people think, but that's a bad way of raising up your child, if that's what they call love. Related to, the African experiences, usually we've had stories of where a mother is poor, and then maybe they cannot really take care of their child, and the other parent is not in the picture. Maybe they passed or something, so they feel like the world is weighing down on them, so they want to take their life. And what they do, they burn up the whole house, while you've not heard of you have heard of those stories. Yeah. They put their children in the house and then they burn the house down, including their children. You have, I don't want to say you have a right to take your life, yes, if you're tired of it, but why would you involve your children?
Kids, innocent
Why
kids.
would you? And that is love. They love their children so much that they didn't want them to stay and suffer in this world without their parents. No, that is not love.
And I love the fact that you talked about, like such a child would have to go, through so much, including therapy. And actually, her situation was one of the mitigating factors during trial. During trial, the court was able to assess that there is no way this child was mentally stable from that time, being made to appear as a sick person, undergoing treatment for something that you're not even suffering from. They put all that into account, and I think she was given a lesser sentence of like 10 years. That's crazy. I mean, for capital murder, you would definitely be getting life without the possibility of parole, but she was given 10 years after factoring in, the thing. So you see what parental alienation can do to your children. Yes, it can even...
cheap popularity just.
Which brings me to the next sign of parental alienation. There is telling the child that the targeted parent is dangerous.
Is a threat.
Why? Why tell?
Give us
why?
evidence. When you're telling us they are a threat, give us evidence. Don't just say they are a threat.
Well, this involves creating the impression in the child's mind that the targeted parent is or has been dangerous. Now, toxic stories may be told about ways in which the targeted parent has tried to harm the child, about which the child has no memory but will believe to be true nonetheless, especially if the story is told often. You normally refer to Keeping Up with the Kardashians, Aggie, and you remember there was an episode where Kanye West went on a rant and said Kim Kardashian wanted to abort Northwest, their
yeah.
first child. And this is a child who was already like old enough to get onto the internet and read, things like this. I mean, it's unfortunate that he said that, and it's good, of course, she was able to maintain a relationship with the mom. But imagine where such information is told to you that to begin with, actually, you are not supposed to be alive.
Yeah.
Would
Yeah.
you
You
have any sort of
understand.
relationship with your
Didn't
parent?
want you.
Yeah, you would be like, no, they don't deserve to, be in my life. Then there's also the bit of forcing the child to choose. Some parents go to the extreme of telling the telling the child to choose between them or the other parent. And of course, it exploits any vagueness in the parenting plan and creates toxic opportunities that compel the child away from the targeted parent by scheduling competing activities and promising valued items and privileges. Now, you
Very
know how
common in
kids are easy.
moms.
Yes, you know how kids are easy to manipulate.
and all
Yes. So if I'm the parent that is always giving you the nice things, I'm taking you for the dates, we're going to watch a movie. From a movie we're getting ice cream. The next weekend I'm taking you to a park. The next thing, before you know it, I've bought you a PS5.
You're the rich mom.
Yes, like I'm the parent who's giving you everything that you desire, but maybe your father is not in position to do that for you, or I've organized an activity that you love. Yes, maybe you want to go for a football practice or anything like that, and I'm going to be there cheering you, but your dad maybe has organized something as boring as what, painting, that you're not interested in.
Painting can actually be
Sorry, I'm just giving it an
cheap,
example.
maybe
We
cheap.
get
Yeah.
you. We get you.
I was giving an example, like how a boy would be interested in like football, as opposed to just going
Painting.
to paint things and that's what I was trying to bring
I
out.
get what you mean, but unfortunately, I hate to say this, and I know it's true. This particular syndrome is common, especially in moms.
Yeah.
Like I've had moms who tell their children, "Choose, Rhonda. Me who pushed you, I carried you for 9 months." Like that's a very toxic statement. Choose me who carried you for 9 months, and your father who did nothing. Choose. So as a child also, imagine if you're put in such a situation, how would you feel? That is already alienating your child. Because of course as a child you'll be like, my mom actually carried me for 9 months, but already you've polluted your child's mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Me, if I were asked such a question, thank God I was never. But I think I was a child who could speak my mind when I was little. If I were asked such a question, I think I would neither choose the other parent. Because as a parent, why should you put me in position to choose between you and the other parent?
But for us as children, we always
Honestly, why?
put our parents in positions where they should choose. We always ask this
How?
question, who is your favorite child?
Yes, we always ask
We
them who's
always
their
want to know.
favorite
So you
child.
see, we also have double standards. I mean,
But-
in my home growing up, we always wanted to know who was the favorite child, but our parents always said they would never tell because they do not have a favorite
But it's
child.
evident. Sometimes they don't even have to tell you. You can clearly see
That
who
is
the
already a
favorite
family
child
now
of,
with a
you
red
know.
flag.
Do
You're
you
not supposed to show.
Yes. Do you believe parents always have a favorite child?
Oh yeah,
children?
Of
absolutely,
course,
100%.
they just pretend not to. The mature ones will not tell, but
They
we
do.
know.
But me, I think they don't just wake up and they're like, oh, this is my favorite child because she's the most behaved, or she's the most beautiful, or she's the most outgoing. I don't think. I think it's more of the attachment, because I've seen most parents, especially those that usually post on social media, when it's like their first child's birthday. I have noticed that a lot. They always write all these beautiful paragraphs of my firstborn, the one who ushered me into motherhood. So they have that kind of attachment. And I've noticed most mothers are usually attached to their firstborns.
So
Maybe
like, hey,
because...
the second bonds were
Yeah.
important.
And then the second-borns are usually attached to their dads. Now, me, I grew up like that. I don't think my parents really segregated us and said, oh, this is my favorite. We all got the same things, but I knew that my big sister was my mom's favorite child and I was my dad's favorite. It was clear because she spent more time with mom and I spent more time with dad. We're always like that. Even if in pictures it was inevitable, you'd find me in front of my dad and you'd find her in front of my mom. So it just came
Kind of
naturally.
pick the sides, yeah, yourself. Let's talk about confiding in a child. It's also another sign of parental alienation. Now, the alienating parent will involve the child in discussions about legal matters and share with the child personal and private information about the targeted parent that the child has no need to know. We talked about childhood and protecting their innocence and having tough conversations. First of all, I think even when you're going to have a tough conversation such as a divorce telling your child that you're going through divorce proceedings, I think there's a way that it should, be delivered to a child in a way that he or she is able, to take it in without having any bad feelings towards either one of you.
Because as a parent, what are you doing telling a 10-year-old that your father or your mother has refused to offer child support? You're tainting the other parent's image. You're literally telling the child, your father has money, now he doesn't want to support you. So what I think also certain conversations, because why are you giving all this information to your child to the extent of reaching and even saying your father has money, but he has refused to give money towards your care?
What if it's true?
It is true, but as
the
a parent,
the age matters, and even how you deliver the information.
Okay, let me ask, what if you, as a parent, as a mother, you're in a situation, maybe you've lost your job, you cannot afford the rent, you literally are surviving narrowly, if I should say that, and then you have a child in the picture, and they have all these needs, and you cannot meet them at the moment, and they ask a question, because children are very curious, and they say, how about dad, can't we, ask, what would you say?
But
are you going to protect him? Are you going to protect him? Like, oh, so that means he gives you money, and, are you going to say he gives me the money when he doesn't, and, you're narrowly, we barely survive?
Sadly, yes.
So what?
Sadly, as a parent, yes, you will have to protect your child from
because
that information about their father. Sadly, you will have to protect them, because actually, if you sit down and think about the relationships we had with our parents, they protected so much from us. I mean, most of us, even you who is out back at home watching, there's a likelihood that your parents, maybe let's say your father maybe was cheating. Because I mean, it's not new that people have, like, fathers have created families here and there. Yeah, like men do all those things all the time. But I forget.
Yes, but
protecting them.
Protecting them. Yes, protecting them. Yes. So you know what? Let's move on.
But no, let's not move on. The reason I'm going to say this, or maybe you mean like maybe the way you package that information. Are you going to protect and you say, maybe your father doesn't have money also at the moment?
Would your mother tell you that your father cheated?
Like, no, that one is different.
It's not different, it's the same.
It's kind of different for me.
At the end of the day, the question you should ask yourself as a parent, as I am telling this young child, Priva Elibaz, Shivana Uma, that your mother, your dad, your who does not want anything to do with you, what is your intention? First, listen, be honest. Why are you telling your child that your father doesn't want to support you financially? Okay, if it's coming from a good place, are they at the age of maybe 18 where you're going to say, you know what, my daughter, things are tight, dad is not supporting us, whatever little I give you, maximize it at school. Now that is a reasonable conversation. But you're telling a 10-year-old that your father is a deadbeat dad.
I think it's about how you package that information. Maybe you can say, I think your dad is going through some struggles at the moment.
Why are you giving excuses?
Yes, no, but you say protect.
That's why
I'm giving excuses for that.
My major point is the age.
The age.
The age of the child matters, and the intention behind why you're telling them.
Yes. Parents fight all the time. But how many people have told you, like, oh, hey, my parents were fighting right in my face? Even if you hear your mother crying, by the way, and the next morning you're asking, Mom, what happened? They'll never tell you that, oh, you and your father were, getting into it, or this and this, were arguing about this and this. They'll protect you because they want to protect your innocence. They want to make sure that the information they're giving you, you are prepared enough to, receive it. You cannot tell a 10-year-old about, divorce, and then you go on to talk about the legal matters and talk about, you talk about how the hearing is going, what your father said. You cannot do that to your child because you're breaking them. You're not building them up, you're breaking them.
Me, I think it's how you package the information. The reason I'm saying this, I know that.
Give us an example.
Yeah, exactly. I know of a 10-year-old boy who has both the mom and the dad. But the dad is not really in the picture. He doesn't pay tuition. He literally does not really so much. I think whenever he feels like he wants to see the child, he goes to school. The mother will never say anything bad about the father of the child to the child. Like say, oh, your father is a deadbeat, he's a bad man. He never says those things. But she has openly had that conversation with the son and said, because the son has to understand that there are struggles that they're going through. Because this little boy is going to school with children who have both their parents. Children who have parents who both come for visitation. And, this child is saying, my mom gave me 50K and my dad gave me 50K. for pocket money. And then you're only saying, my mom gave me 50K. Your father hasn't given anything, not even sent anything. So she decided to have that conversation with the son and said, you see, dad is not in the picture at the moment. He's trying to take care of some things somewhere. But whenever he can, he will always come through. But he said, at the moment, it's just me and you. Every bill is on me. Whether it's school fees, whether it's literally everything is on me. So I don't know, maybe she's lucky she has a very good boy, very disciplined boy. So like, he kind of understood, and then he says, yeah, my father is not around, but maybe in the future I'll actually get a good dad. She tainted
the son's innocence.
No, I don't think she did, because here's the thing. Whenever the man comes through to see the son, once in over 4 months, whatever time, yes, in a blue moon, they actually talk properly with the child hugs the father. They have a good relationship. How is school going? School is going well. How are your friends? Literally, they talk like they have a good relationship. But that little boy knows that the son contributes nothing when it comes to finances and
even when he's able, or just that sometimes
because he just woke up and maybe decided not to. I think he's able.
I think I would still protect my son and tell them that, you know what, it's okay, dad is dealing with some things that is not available at the moment, and he's not financially stable, even if you have all the money in the world. So that I make you believe that no, your father is not providing for you, not because he has the money and the capacity to provide for you, but he's just choosing not to do it. But he's not providing because he doesn't have the money. I think for me that makes more sense than saying, you know what, he actually has some money, but
no, you don't have to say that. You don't have to say. You just have to say maybe he's in Iraq somewhere fighting the war in Ukraine.
Fighting with General Mohoz.
Okay, then we have a bit of asking the child to spy on the targeted parent. I mean, parental alienation can also happen in normal homes, normal families. You have both parents in the same household. Now, the targeted parent in this scenario may have information in their files or desktop computer that is of interest to the alienating parent, such as receipts, the legal documents, medical reports, financial statuses, and all those things. So an alienating parent might suggest directly to a child or hint that the targeted parent has information that she is not sharing with them. So the alienating parent will likely create this whole, how would I call it, the impetus in the child by linking the information to the child's desires. Like, if we knew where daddy got a raise, we would ask for more money. I will buy you a new dog.
It's interesting.
Like, if we knew if daddy got a raise or was getting more money, we would ask him to buy you a new dog. So now you're forcing your child, it's in your mind now. You have to find out the financial records of this man.
It's sort of like in some families where I've seen, when the other party is trying to alienate the other parent, and probably the other parent has moved on and even is dating a woman, the other parent will go ahead and tell your child, find out more about that woman. Yes, she's the reason as to why you and daddy are not together anymore. So you see, now you're putting your child in a situation where they are now Snoop Dogg. They are snooping around for information.
And if they catch that parent cheating,
exactly,
they'll feel guilty for being the spy agent and being the person that has figured out that information.
Yes,
and it can increase their guilt and
exactly,
feel that
because
uncomfortability.
How do I tell mommy yet daddy has told me not to tell?
Not to tell. You people, let me tell you. Let me give you. Let me give you a word of advice. If you're not in a relationship yet, and you have plans or intentions of being in a relationship, a long-term relationship that leads to like please pray for that partner that will come along the way.
Start praying now.
Oh yeah, even pray for the parents of your children, because we are living in a very toxic world. Why on earth would you tell your child to go and snoop around and see, who their father is sleeping with or who their father is talking to?
Those things.
Why?
They do those things. Because I want to alienate you already. I know you're cheating. Already I know you're hiding information from me. So the best way that I can do is use your child to get back at you.
But if the relationship failed and you're not together, why do you still care about what the other person does with their body and their life? Exactly, psychopaths.
Psychopaths do that. Then lastly, before we get to the next question, referring to the targeted parent by the first name. Now, rather than saying mommy and daddy, I'll start calling you, John. I'll start calling you Ivan. I'll start calling you Agava. Yes. So even the child, kids do what they see. So they also start referring to you as James.
They do. I've had one in the supermarket say that.
James.
I say it's Gochino.
Because
she has been because she has been hearing the mother at home say, what you know your yes, you've been involved in a terrible divorce, but now you're not even being respectful in front of your children. Wow. So in the supermarket in and here, what you know, and that is a child. But where do they get it from? Parents.
And the message to the child is that, the targeted parent is no longer someone that, you have to look at as, yes, with respect or importance. Or, basically they look at you like you don't have any authority in our home.
Oh, and, and that man, like, responded when the child
Of course not, he was embarrassed.
Yeah, in public.
We're right in the middle of the aisle, he was definitely embarrassed.
Well, basically, of course, yes, you will never have a bond with your child if they're referring to you, by your first name. You guys, does parental alienation ever backfire? Let's talk about, does it ever stop? Does it ever backfire?
For some children that are definitely curious and want to find out the truth about their parents, yes.
It backfires.
You could set up your child against the father and they decide to say, Mom is lying here, let me go and talk to daddy myself. And then she gets both sides of the stories, and then all of a sudden you're the bad parent.
Yeah. Me, I think it backfires at a later point in life when children actually become of, understanding, when they get to understand these things. If you have been saying your father is bad, your father, treats you bad. But how can you say your father treats you bad when he doesn't treat me bad? When I go to see him, he's pampering me, he's making a meal for me, he's taking me out, he's smiling, he's hugging me. Then how are you expecting me to believe that they are a bad person? Maybe when I don't understand, when I'm still a little child, now I'm putting myself in the picture, then there I could say, maybe I don't want to go and see dad. Dad is a bad person. Or you find some children telling their, fellows that my dad is a bad person. But when they ask them why, what have they done to you? They have no valid explanation. Their beliefs are just so irrational, delusional, depending on what their parent has told them. But when they become of age and understanding, and I see that my parent actually really cares about me, takes care of me, pays my tuition, and okay, now besides the basics of paying tuition and taking care of my basic needs, they treat me like a human being. They treat me like I'm their child. How am I supposed to believe the things that you're telling me that they are a bad person? Honestly.
Exactly. And if I may, I think as parents we should allow our children to decide what perception they have of us. Like, leave your child to form the idea they have of you or what they feel for you, depending on how you treat them. Because you won't forever buy their love. No. It will always come out at the end of the day.
Yeah, and even when they come back to you as the other parent and say, hey, I think dad is being bad here, doing this, and let's try to find out what exactly they do. Why does your child think that their parent is bad? And maybe if it's something normal, I mean, sometimes we say our parents are bad because they've refused to give us money to go for a movie or to go for a concert.
It depends
during
for how
holiday.
long I've been asking for that money.
Yeah,
also.
so if you're a good parent,
so do we buy sugar or we give you money to go for the movie?
Yes. Sometimes if you're a good parent, you will say, no, I think they refused to give you money because maybe they didn't have it, or maybe they wanted you to first concentrate on books. But if you're the bad parent, honestly, I think that's like your green card, your green light to now say all the bad things about that you want to say. Yeah. Very sad.
Does parental alienation ever stop? I think it's a 50-50 for me. Because just like, you mentioned earlier on in our submissions, you said it would be important for you to, notice it earlier on in the earlier stages and put an end to it. But if you are the targeted parent and it goes on and goes on and goes on, there's a likelihood that, there is no turning back. Like all ties have been cut, there's nothing that you can do to, win back the love of your child. So sometimes I think it is important that as parents, if you realize you're the targeted parent, you should try so hard and strive to make sure that you, put an end to that and have a normal functioning relationship with your child. But then as we wrap up the conversation, I'm going to give you 5 things that you should never say to an alienated child if you are the targeted parent. Number 1, don't say that's not true. So when a parent says this to a child in response to statements such as, you don't love us, you don't care about us, or any other equally frustrating comment, the parent is missing an opportunity to connect with the child around the child's pain and hurt. So as a parent, instead, you could say something like, I'm so sorry to hear you say that. That must hurt to feel that I don't love you. You're such a lovable child, and you deserve to be loved, and I love you so much. You understand? It's like you're feeling them with, how would I call it? You're reassuring them. You're giving them that assurance and that confidence, and to have that safety in you and understand that, oh no, mommy loves me, daddy loves me, and there's nothing like.
I can confide in them.
Yes, and I can come to them. Then also, as a targeted parent, never say that that's a lie. That is worse than, saying that that's not true. But when you say it's a lie, when you say that's a lie, it's like super, super worse. So if, no one wants to be told they're a liar. So if you are doing that to your child, they could be more hurt and even angry after you've told them that, that's not true, that's a lie. So instead, you could say something like, you're right, I did this and this. Yes. However, I never suggest that a parent should admit to doing something or she did not do. So, for example, if they're saying you've done something wrong, you shouldn't say, and you haven't done it, don't say that you've done it, because now also you're shooting yourself in the foot.
At the same time.
Yes, but it would be more effective to say something like, thank you so much for telling me that you think I did this and this. I'll appreciate you telling me that you think I did that and that to you. But you go on ahead to acknowledge that, of course, you could have hurt their feelings, but you go on to tell them, but I know I didn't do that, but I understand that you think I did.
Okay.
Maturity.
Absolutely.
The other thing is that who told you that. You never say who told you that. So when a parent says this to a child, the implication is that the other parent is feeding the child lies and the child is foolish enough to believe them. So this is insulting to the child and the other parent, and often causes the child to defend the other parent. So you're even making the alienation even worse. So it's much better to thank the child for sharing his or her thoughts and feelings, and then you proceed from there. So if the focus is on why the child believes that thing, then the parent is showing the child that the parent cares more about trying to prove the other parent is bad than about the child's feelings. When you just go on.
Just quickly, I think we're also being very lenient to the children, especially children who are like 18 and above or 20. When you realize that there is already tension between your parents, don't again be a witch hunter and again create more tension.
Yeah.
Like you're taking sides, then there is favoritism, then you're telling your mom in front of your daddies, that's why I prefer daddy because he gives me this, yet you truly know that you're actually gaslighting people.
Yeah. Then you also have parents, typically African parents, they'll tell you, how dare you speak to me that way? So as parents, I think we should be able to understand that kids also have feelings. They get hurt. They also, experience these emotions. Yeah. So instead of telling a child, how dare you speak to me that way, it's important that, tell them something like, I'm so glad that you're sharing your thoughts and feelings with me, and I want to understand why you are so upset, but can you please speak like in a slower manner so that, I'm able to comprehend everything and process what you're saying, because I cannot, hear when you're screaming and all that. Like, you make it safe for them, to confide in you. And lastly, you don't tell them that that's not true. That's insulting the other person's integrity. So the best thing that you have to say is, be surprised. Say, oh, I'm so surprised to hear you say that, like, act in shock, but never tell them that that's not true, because they don't know. They are kids. At the end of the day, they're being fed with information, so they can never know what is right and wrong. Ladies, in 10 seconds each, your final remarks. We're wrapping up the show. In regards to, yes, parental alienation.
Please be a good parent, first of all. And I gave you one of my biggest advices is to pray for your partner and someone you're going to parent with. Very important. Secondly, just be a good person, yeah? Don't try to pit your child against their father or their mother. And thirdly, which is the very most important, always put your child's interest at heart. Forget about your jealous and, your feelings and sentiments to the other parent. Your child comes first. Yeah,
absolutely.
My last remarks would be to the parents, give your child the benefit of doubt. Let your child decide for themselves or create their own version of who mommy is or who daddy is.
I love that. That's really nice. Well, I think for me, I'm just going to talk to the targeted parents. Yes, like you have, you have much more power than you actually believe. So it's up to you to see how you can drive that conversation. It could be hurtful to you, or you can, try and have that damage control based on the, the 5 tips that I did, share with you. So, those are ways that will either help you to make or mend your relationship with your child, or they'll just, further, push you away from your child. So as an estranged parent or the targeted parent, put it in the work. You have the work, that's your child. Fight for them, put their interests at heart, and obviously you end up having a good relationship with them. Well, in the interest of time, we've come to the end of our views. Of course, the conversation is going to continue on our social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at CTV Uganda. My name is Priveli Baz. Good morning.
Well, it's exactly 1 minute to top the hour of 9. We do thank you for being a part of Sunrise at Sea. From the ladies and I, we wish you a lovely week. See you tomorrow, same time. Good morning.